Oscar, my man, what's the story? How are you getting on?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Petey?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good. You're on your day off today, are you?
Yeah, so it's a rest day today, so we're just recovering. We've sort of training's been upped a little bit now since we've qualified for Tokyo. So we're doing a lot of training at the moment in skins and stuff and base layers, just to get used to the humidity and the heat out in Tokyo. So no, it's going well. So it is. So it's good to get a day off.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure the hydration's on point then as well. Like you're getting used to that too, because you're obviously sweating buckets if you're training in that heat in base layers. Like,
That's it, man. Yeah, I got the water on hand here today, so just get. If I'm sipping away there, don't worry about that. Like, all right.
yeah, no bother. And then in terms of the training and the intensity jumping, I'd say with lads knowing that there's Olympic kind of selection at hand and there's only limited places on the squad, lads are probably ripping into each other in training, are they?
Oh, big time! Like as you know, there's only 13 guys heading over to Tokyo, so everyone's fairly hungry, and training's been going well. It's just about even polishing off some little details now about going into Tokyo, but for sure, there's lads tearing lumps out of each other, so it's about just making sure you get through these training sessions and play well, like so that you can get yourself onto that plane to Tokyo.
Absolutely. And then like the vibe amongst the squad, it must be, are you all excited or is there any nerves, or are people kind of unsure of where they stand and they're kind of just trying to put their best foot forward to get themselves on that plane now?
Like everyone's excited. Like there's a great buzz around training camp and stuff like that. Like everyone can't wait to get going. But there is obviously a bit of nerves and a bit of anxiousness around, am I going to get there and am I going to be selected? So it's just about working hard and keeping through your processes and getting there, like in the end. But yeah, look, there's been a great buzz. Like the lads are in great form, so that's class. Like.
Yeah, always good to play in a squad that are kind of all in good spirits, and when you're winning and you're on top, like it's always easy to be in good spirits. And obviously the most recent win at the world repechage is the big one that we're going to talk about today. So talk to me about that weekend. It's 2 weeks ago now, or a week and a half ago now. Just phenomenal stuff. Like he absolutely dominated in all, he won all the games. Like he dominated a lot of them, but some of them were a little bit more up and down. What was the experience like over in Monaco?
Yeah, big time, man. Like, it's hard to believe still, to be honest with you, even though it's a week and a half, it still hasn't really sunk in. Like we knew as a group going over there, we were confident as a group going over that we could get the job done. I'm not sure if many other people knew what was going on, but it sort of did explode when we got into that final against France. And we knew France were a quality side, like as in we've played them for the last 2 years. We probably hadn't got a win over them. Like it has always been close. There's always been one score in it. But like when we went to that final, like we said, we'd have to knuckle down and really get stuck in because we knew what quality side that French team are. So it was just great to get that win and to book our place into Tokyo. But the whole weekend, like I've never been, like I was rooming with Ian Fitzpatrick, and he was like, I was shaking before every game, like knowing that going into it, like we need to win this, like it's do or die, like. And I haven't felt anything like that since when we qualified for the World Series in Hong Kong in 2019. So it was just, I suppose that stood to us as well going into Monaco, having experienced that before. So like before every game, like I was a nervous wreck, but once I got out onto the field, then like you're A1, like you're in a great place, like.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It didn't seem, I watched all the games that weekend and it didn't seem like you were nervous at all, like because from an outside perspective, obviously in sevens, like you're trying not to engage the contact as often as you would in 15s because you have the risk of turning over the ball. Mm-hmm. So it seemed like when the likes of say Terry or Jordan or even Harry sometimes like got the ball, they wouldn't engage that contact as early. But when you got the ball, you were just coming on like a train and nearly looking for contact at times and backing yourself to just run through soft shoulders. Like, and it worked. Like, you got a team in the tournament, you got a couple of meat pies for yourself too. So it wasn't noticeable for sure. Like, so what was it like within the games?
I don't know, like within the games, like we felt controlled within the games. I did anyway between each game. Like I felt like we were dictating the pace of the game, that we were dictating how we wanted to play. Like, and to be fair, like I felt we were ticking over nicely in each game. Now there obviously was some ropey points within the games. Like obviously that French game, they got the 2 tries to go ahead. Initially in the first half, but still I knew that we were going to get our purple patch and that we were going to get our run of the green, and to be fair we did. And like I just felt like we were just that little bit more fitter than the French team, that made a difference, like in terms of like that second half, like um but yeah, for sure, like like you have likes of Terry and Jordo there, they're always going to try beat lads. They've got the pace, but sometimes when you don't have the pace, you're going to have to find another way to get through. All right, so you do. But I know it works out. I have my strengths and they have their strengths, so we sort of stick to what we do. Like,
Yeah, no, you're being modest there. You're not slow at all. Like you got away for a couple of tries as well, so you're definitely being modest there. Just to go back to the French game though, like to hear Billy speaking afterwards, like he spoke really, really well. But it was interesting that he touched on over the course of the game how his emotions changed. You don't really hear lads saying very often that they had doubts as to if they were going to win the game. And he did say that he thought the game was gone from him. But hearing you speak there, you kind of the opposite of that. You thought that you were always within a chance and you were always going to come back. So it's
yeah,
interesting that you had that contrast within the squad.
yeah, no, like I definitely knew that we were in a good place. Like even when the French went ahead, like or when they scored the first try, I just knew like they had to work so much harder for their first try. Like they had to go through numerous phases. I think I counted it was 4 or 5 minutes of defense from us. Like, and I just remember thinking like, geez, we have them here. Like, and they were blowing at that stage. Like, and I was like, geez, we're in a good place here. Now they scored straight off the kickoff, which was a bit of a downer for us now. But still, I knew like we are one score in it. Like, anything could happen once you're in one score, especially in a sevens game. You know yourself, like it's so open and anything could happen at all. So I knew if we just stuck to our processes that we would get the result, and obviously eventually did come our way. Thank God. Like.
Yeah, it's weird as well though and that must have been really good for you to see that when they had all possession for 4 or 5 minutes and they were blowing and you were grand, because like I know like you don't know it until you live it in a sevens game, but defense is way harder than
Way
attack.
harder. So
Like,
much harder.
and if they're tired and you're grand, like then you know that you have them, I suppose. You're nearly
Yeah.
doing the rope it up Muhammad Ali, isn't it?
That was it though. Like that, honestly, that was the turning point for me. Like even though we were down, I was like we're fine here. We're actually holding our own here. To be fair, like they were blowing like a bit harder, like but like I just thought that that defensive set, and a lot of lads highlight that defensive set was the one that actually won it, even though they did score eventually, but we just had to make them work that much harder. And like they're such a talented team, like that French team are unbelievably talented. Like they've got French internationals in there and stuff who played for the 15 side, and like to hold them out for that long like was impressive, like and like I'd say they even thought themselves, geez, like like they were scoring at will all weekend, like they were blowing teams out of the water, like but I'd say even they thought after that defensive set, they were like, wow, like these lads aren't here to just make up the numbers, like these lads are here to play and win. Like,
Yeah. Now obviously a lot of it comes down to fitness and say your will and your want to win, but even at the top level, like everybody wants to win, so that's not the major determining factor. Do you
no.
think that like you're always so organized, like you never look out of sorts when you're on the field defending? Do you think a lot of your success in the last couple of years comes down to that organization and comms in defense?
Oh, big time, huge. Like, as in, like, there's so many lads. Like, we've all played together now for probably a good 4 years, like together. Like, and like that makes such a big difference. Like, we're all so organized, and we know where each person's strength is and where they should be, sort of in that defensive line, and what works for them. Like, and I think that made a huge difference. Like, everyone was just in the right position and the right time. Like, and then as you said, like we just know we're well organized. Like we've been training for like pretty much 2 years. All our goals have been set on that tournament in Monaco, like, you know, and just when it came around, I think we were one of the best organized teams going into that weekend, like, so that really stood to us and made a huge difference, like.
Yeah, definitely. And then to move away from talking about the D and going into the attack, like, you were just on fire, but like in particular a couple of the lads, like, and you just wonder at times, like, when Terry is playing like he did on day one, or like, and even in day two, like, he was just unplayable. It was like he was playing a touch game out there. Like, do you in attack, do you just think like Terry's hot right now, just give him the ball and let him create something?
Oh, 100%. Like, even like, you know, if we just know, like, if it's coming to the forward side, like, we'll just try and suck in as many defenders as we can, like, carry really hard. And once you get that ball into like Terry or Jordo's hands, like, you know, there's going to be damage made somewhere. Like, you know, they are class to watch, like, the pair of them, like, together. Like, so it's just the combination of speed and footwork, like, is just class, like, to be fair, like.
Yeah, like, to watch the two of them that weekend, like, it was like watching. They were playing rugby 08, but they had the cheat code where you flick the controller and you just go back, you go through everyone. Like, it was ridiculous. Like,
No,
everything was working. Like, when he threw that offload out the back to Jordan, like, on the day, like, obviously he probably has done it in training a few times, but like, that's not going to come off too often. Like, and it just seemed like he got that rub of the green. But you do make your own luck as well, like, at the end of the day.
You sure do, but he was just so hot that once, like, he was willing to try anything, like, and that was just unbelievable, to be fair. Like, I haven't seen, like, it was Fiji-esque sort of stuff there, like, so it was unbelievable, like.
Yeah, but then the two boys got into the team of the tournament. Sure, it was basically an Irish team of the tournament, really. Like, you got in there as well yourself. Did you get a good bit of pride out of getting into it as well? Like, because obviously you do go about, like, you played phenomenal, as I said to you last week, but you do go about the hard kind of dirty work at times, like.
Oh yeah, like, as in, like, that's what I mean. Like, everyone has their place in the team, like, and you know what you're going to bring to that team, like, so it's just about bringing your strengths to each game if you can, especially in them big games. Like, if you can win your area, like, it'll make a huge difference to the team, like. So, like, I just knew that my strength is just really turning over the ball, or whether it's like, even as you said, like, hard carries, like, just try suck into defenders, like, and then that makes the difference then for lads out wide, like, and you know, if everyone can do their role, it makes a difference in terms of the scoreboard and how the team goes, like.
And obviously paid off. Like, getting the Olympic qualification is no mean feat, like, and it's been a long term, or it's been a long road to here. But
Sure.
I just wanted, before we move on to talking about the road to here, I want to ask you, like, the feelings post game. What was it like? Was it like relief? Was it jubilation? Like, what were you feeling, yourself and as a collective?
Big time, like, surely, like, huge relief to finally do it, like, as in, like, I've been telling people for the last 2 years, oh, we're going over to Monaco to compete for an Olympic place, like, we have to play France, Samoa, Hong Kong, like, you know, it's pretty much on repeat to everybody, telling everyone about it, and I was like, in my head, I was like, surely, lads, we have to win this. Like, I've been telling everyone about this the whole time, like. So to actually get it done, it was unbelievable. Like, it was pure relief, and then, like, just the, like, pure adrenaline running through your body, like, it literally took me the whole week for me to get over that, like, as in, like, the pure mental and physical, like torture on your body, like, it was unbelievable, like, and like, I just, like, talking to people now, it just puts a big smile on your face, like, knowing that you're going to go, like, that the team is going to Tokyo, like, so it is unbelievable, to be fair, like.
Yeah, and the adrenaline would be pumping, but I'm sure the adrenaline was pumping all week, like, because I saw that you had a few beers in the hotel afterwards, and then when you got back, you had a few beers when you came back. Was it a heavy one?
It was heavy enough, all right, to be fair. You have to celebrate them moments, so you have to make the most of them, to be fair, like. Yeah, no, you're right. We had a few drinks on. We had our own. We weren't allowed outside the hotel when we were in Monaco, just for COVID restrictions. And we had our own floor in the hotel, so we were up drinking there for the night anyway, like, and it was good. It actually worked out so well, man, because we had all the players together and all the management, and generally when you go out, like, you know yourself, like, everyone gets split up and everyone's going here, there and everywhere, but everyone was together, and it was just just everyone was just telling their own stories about how hard it's been over the last couple of years, but it's how great it's been to get here, and like, oh, it was unbelievable. And then the next day we went to Jack Kelly, one of the lads on the team. He had everyone over to his house, and all the girlfriends came over, because I think all the lads have girlfriends on the team, bar Jordo and Harry McNulty. Everyone else has a girlfriend on the team, like, so. It was interesting to meet all the girlfriends, and it was good crack, to be fair. All the girls enjoyed it as well, because obviously they've given up a whole lot as well. Like, they've supported us all the way along the way as well too. So it was nice for them to get out to enjoy it and celebrate it with us too. Like,
I'm sure Jordan and Harry would have been able to source someone to come to the barbecue, no problem anyway. But talking about talking about the friends and family and the support that they've given you over the last few years, like, well, like, it's been a long time, because from having Harry on 2 weeks ago, and then from even going to college with yourself, like, it was, when was it, 2015 when you got involved with the Sevens?
Yeah, we started all off. Yeah, I came back from London Irish. I think it was 2013, 2014, around there, and then I went back to actually start into college with you in DCU, and then the sevens program started up in 2015. So I actually went. There's 5 of us now that are on the team that started back in 2015. So you have Harry McNulty, myself, Terry Kennedy, Ian Fitzpatrick, and Mark Roach. And it's been a long road since there, like, as in they've pretty much come from the bottom of Europe, like in Division C, all the way up along, then into Hong Kong, into the qualifiers in Hong Kong, graduated through that into the World Series, and now we've done a World Cup, and we've qualified for the Olympics. And just from my own journey around that, like, initially I actually, like, like me, like, you've been around me for a long time now as well. I was injured I didn't get my first cap till 2018 actually, because I was injured for 3 or 4 years. Like, I literally hamstring after hamstring after hamstring, like, just could not get used to the load, couldn't get onto the field at all. And then luckily enough, through like some really good management from the management side of things, like some really good player management in terms of like getting my load right and being in with physios and stuff, I managed to get on that team in 2018. And that was actually my first cap when we came third in the invitational tournament in London. We came third in the World Series. So that was unbelievable. Like, it was like probably one of our first milestones, like, really, like, as a group. Like, so it was special to really get out there and actually play in that, like, as well. So it was huge.
I don't think people realize though, like, how far down the pecking order you were till now qualified the Olympics. Like, how many leagues did you have to go through? 3 was it FIRA leagues, or 4?
3, yeah, CBA, and then into the Grand Prix then, which is like the Europe Grand Prix, and you had to finish up around the top of that, top 2 in that, to get into the World Hong Kong World Series qualifier. So it was a long road, like.
And the first year at the qualifier, you had Heartbreak at the first year, wasn't it? You got knocked out in the semi, was it?
In the semi-final against Japan, yeah. I pulled my hamstring when I went over to Hong Kong, and I pulled my hamstring that week in Hong Kong, so I actually missed out on that tournament. I watched the tournament, but we lost in the semi-final against Japan. Like, it was last, like, as in Mark Roach kicked the ball, hit the post, and he came back and he went to regather it. If it didn't hit the post, he would have scored, like, but he just went to regather and just fumbled it over the line in the last play. And then Japan went to length and scored in the like, obviously in extra time or in stoppage time to go through, and they actually qualified for the series. So it was heartbreak, but I think that galvanized us and really made us a good bit stronger when we came back the following year and finally got the job done, like.
Yeah, but then you got the bounce of the ball the following year, like when Harry went over and did the dive that he got all the stick for. But yeah, that must have been tough. Like, and as you said, it's all a growth kind of experience, because Rochi doesn't make many mistakes. Like, no, and then he, like, I don't know how he took that, but like, that's got to be hard to bounce back from it. But like, you haven't let anything get you in terms of any sort of failure. Like, you've kind of used it to grow and to improve, and then you've just come back stronger each time. And like, you're in such a good position, and that applies to both the team and to yourself as well, because like, you're saying all the hamstring issues there, but like, there was a few other niggles as well, not just hamstring related, wasn't there? Like, and I don't think that, laughing, like, I don't think we've ever known each other where one of us was fully fit, to be honest.
No, I surely don't. I don't think so, man.
Two
It's
fucking
class, isn't it? Like,
young lads who are crocked, like.
Oh, crocked is right. Like,
Yeah.
at least that works out in my favor. Like, I'm actually a physiotherapist. Like, I went off and
Yeah.
done a master's in physio, so it works big time in my favor. At least I know all the injuries now, and I'm treating anybody like, oh, I've had that.
Yeah, exactly. It's useful. It comes in useful. Do you always get like well, I know you're only finishing the masters now, so you've in the past always had an external perspective of a physio going through the kind of rehab program with you and doing all the treatment with you. But does that come in really handy when you're rehabbing yourself in terms of knowing when to back off? Because rugby players and lads in general have a real problem, and Irish lads in general, it's always more is better, and they'll always push it too much, like. And that's with hamstrings, it's such a fine line as well, like. So
it's about getting that threshold right, like. I know big time, like, it does make a huge difference. Like obviously you get an understanding of the anatomy and everything that's going on, like, so it's hugely important. Like, we're lucky enough, like, our physio is great in with us, like Orla Armstrong, and like, she's helped me a lot in terms of like both in my career and on my injury front, like, so it just makes a huge difference when you have that type of management working with you and helping you out, like, so no, it's massive. Like,
you're no spring chicken now anyway either.
no, surely not, like. No, still have a few years left me though.
Yeah, 100%. But then
I'm in my prime, Petey. I'm in my absolute prime, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, though, like, realistically though, like, you're performing at such a level and injury free, and what we were chatting about there, like, the last time you were injury free, I know you missed the pre-tournament kind of games against Great Britain, but like, to see you performing so well last weekend was just a joy to see, because knowing the story, like, what you've been through, every time I've met you, you've been injured. I know it's shit to laugh at. It's like, God, that fella, like, did it ever cross your mind, like, to be like, Jesus, it's a big commitment. I'm making lots of sacrifices here for the sevens. Is it worth it? Like,
oh, there's been long walks and a lot of thinking going on, like, at times, like, there surely was. I remember there was a stage there just pre 2018 when, like, I had so many injuries, and I wasn't, like, I was getting selected for teams, and then the week beforehand I'd pull out with like an injury of some sort. And I remember I went over to my girlfriend, who was in America at the time, and I went over to America, and I just said I needed a couple of weeks break and just get away and clear my head. And I remember thinking, should I go back or shouldn't I go back, like, or what was the plan? And then I said, look, I'll give it another crack. I'll give it a go again. Like, I can surely do this. Like, I knew deep down that I was well able for it, like, and I was well able for that level, but it was just more so whether I could get my body right. And then, luckily enough, when I did go back, I had some great physios. Like, I had like Emma Galvin there, another like class physio, like, who helped me get through a lot. Like, she got me back onto the pitch and got me playing. And then, like, you know, it sort of is, ever since, it's just kept rolling forward from there, like, and we've just kept climbing and getting into great positions, like, as a team. And, you know, hopefully it'll just keep going now. We can push hard now in the Olympics and see where that takes us, like.
But that's interesting as well. That was always in the couple of weeks or the week before. Have you thought a lot about the stress response of being picked and coming into the tournament, and whether anxiety around getting injured actually had a negative effect on you in the lead up to tournaments? And maybe you're a little bit more relaxed now because you're more experienced.
I don't think necessarily it was. I think it was more of a load issue. I think it was more like things like would start creeping up on me, like, and then I just pull out, because I was only ever fit for a couple of weeks, and then it'd go, and a couple of weeks and it'll go. Look, I think that might have a total to play. It could do, like, now that the fact I've played in bigger tournaments and I'm used to it now. But then, as I was saying, they're like in Monaco, like I was fairly nervous before each game, like before going out, like. But
That's a good
uh,
thing though as well, depending on
I
how
don't
you spin
like
it. Like,
it's part and parcel of like my like prep before a game. Like I need to be nervous. Like I have to have that. And then as soon as I get out for the warm up, I'm 100%. Like all that's gone. Like and you're ready to rock. Like. But I think it is a huge part of it. Like I think if you're not nervous, like if you're nervous, you care. Like it shows like that you really care about it and you really want to win. Like so, it's just a matter of once don't let it overtake you completely. Let it settle. But then once you get out there onto that training field or out onto the pitch, or once you get out there, like you're pretty much switched on and ready to go. Like
yeah, I'd hope you're not nervous for training now.
not at all. No.
Only in the last week or so, I suppose.
I was gonna say for the next couple of weeks, gonna be nervous enough. All right.
When are they making the selection?
I think it could be called next week. I think it could be out. Like, I'm not 100% certain yet. So.
And how many of you are training together at the moment?
There's I think 25 or 6 in the squad. Like, so there's a good few there. Like, for 13 places. Yeah. So it is massive. Like, to be fair, like so.
But I'm sure even the lads that aren't selected, like they'll be still going to training and trying to prep the lads that will be going as best they can for heading over and playing against the cream of the crop. Like
that's it. Like if
like
you look at
you got a tough group. Like
that's what I was gonna say. If you look at that group there, for instance, like it's a very tough group. Like South Africa, USA, Kenya, like they're all physical teams, very strong. Like they are the best of the best. Like so we'll have to be at our very best if we're to compete with these guys. Like we'll have to be right up there.
You've beaten the US though, and you've beaten Kenya. Have you beat South Africa before?
We drew with South Africa in LA in the series. The lads were up. I actually wasn't. I was injured at the time. The lads were up. I think it was 19-12, and they got a free kick. And the lads went to run it back, but unfortunately there was still time on the clock. So then South Africa won off that. So they drew the game. So we should have won. We should have won that game.
But talking,
we've played South Africa quite a lot, like in terms of we went down and played training games against them and stuff down in Stellenbosch, and we've played them in tournaments outside the World Series, like in Chester and in different areas like that. So we are used to them, but they are like you have to be at your very best to beat them guys, or if you're to be up there, like you have to be like everything has to be 100%. Like
they won the World Series a couple of years in a row, did they? Or a couple of years ago?
They won it in 2018 anyway. And 2019, I think. Yeah, you were right. And then they were second last year, so they just lost. Them and New Zealand were in the hunt for it. So they've
gone through a bit of a transition, though, haven't they? In terms of a few of their players have gone over to do what Harry was doing and playing the MLR too. Like Harry's best mate, Cecil Africa, is over there.
Yeah, there's a good few South Africans gone over, and then there's even a lot of South Africans who've transitioned into the 15s in South Africa, like Roscoe Speckman's actually playing.
Yeah, sure, he's on there.
He's playing this weekend for South Africa, so they're missing a few of their stalwart guys, like, but you never know, like they're still going to be quality, like with what guys they have there, like they've always got great talent coming through, like
It seems like they have more of a conveyor belt of talent. Not that we don't in Ireland as well, but it's just that the sevens game isn't as big in Ireland as it would be abroad. Even though we have the biggest kind of sevens tournament in the world in terms of Kinsale, like it's weird that like there's not that many competitions for, say, people that are outside of that squad that you're on.
No, you're 100% right. Like, as in, like the South African sevens are huge. Like it's as big as the 15s down there. Like it's massive, and they've just such a conveyor belt of young guys coming through there. So that's what we're hoping now with sort of a bit of exposure through the Olympics and through the series. We can get more bums on seats and more people really watching the sevens and getting more invested into it, because it is a great pathway for the 15s as well, as there's been so many guys that have come through the seven setup that are now have either been Ireland capped or that are regular starters in that Ireland team, like, so in the 15 side. So it's great to see, like, and you know, there's been so many guys coming through our sevens pathway, and like they're quality, like they're absolutely quality. So like I'll definitely see more guys that are even in the setup now that are going to push on into that sort of into the professional 15 side and push on through there, like.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you about, because Greg spoke recently about a few of the lads still having an itch to scratch in the 15s game. Do you think that, I know the sevens has been more of kind of a pathway into the 15s for a lot of players in the past, like as you said, like there's lads in the Irish squad there that now that, and lads in Ulster, Leinster, Connacht, Munster, all over the place that have played with the sevens. Do you think that it is going to be in the future even more of a major pathway for young players? And what do you think needs to be done in terms of the country as a whole and their approach to sevens to facilitate that? Like, because you know, when you go to these tournaments, who's going to be playing in the elite every time that there's an elite kind of level at the few tournaments in Ireland. It's the same crowd that are in it. Nobody else wants to play because they're just running into each other. It's no crack.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, no, like in terms of the sevens, like it is a huge opportunity for young guys coming through, like, and I'd highly promote it, because you're isolating your skills, like, as in, like, you're isolating your one-on-one tackle, like you've got so much more space that you have to make that tackle. Your one-on-one footwork has to be so much better, like even your catch pass has to be up there, and like, you know, individual skills like around the kickoff and stuff that really translate back into the 15s games, and you're getting a lot more repetitions in terms of when you're playing sevens, because it's continuous, like you're repping it out, whereas in 15s you probably don't get that repetition that you would when you're playing that sevens game. So it is definitely a big one for young guys coming up along. But what we need and what we found works really well is you have like your core group of guys who are in the sevens, like the likes of your McNuttys, Jordan, Terry, you know, the likes of Billy Dardis, like all these guys, Jack Kelly, all the guys that have been there and know how to play the game. And then you supplement that with academy guys or young guys coming up along, and they can learn under the core group of guys, like, and sort of pick up how the game is played. But then it also enhances their skills going forward. Like, they're going to get better, they'll get more confidence, like they've played on a world stage in front of like 40,000-50,000 people, like they've been exposed to bigger spaces, like, so all these things are 100% going to help guys when they make that transition into the professional game, and when they make that transition into that Ireland sort of first cap. And like, you know, like I can't promote it enough, really, like, other than that, like, you know.
That was what I was going to ask in terms of, because like there's been lots of players that have been there and have left and forged paths. Now, is that difficult to transition out of playing with them? Because obviously you're like, oh, Hugo had a great tournament there last week. Oh, he's gone now. Oh, Shane Daly had a great tournament last. Oh, he's gone. Robert Balakoon, all these lads, like they're an asset to you while they're there, and then all of a sudden they're gone and somebody new comes in. But I wasn't aware that you had that vast of a squad, I suppose. So it's not that hard to get somebody to transition straight in.
It's not, yeah, exactly. Like, like obviously them guys are quality, and like you love having them playing for you, like, and it's they're like, obviously they're great guys as well, like, you know. But as you said, like, you'll always find someone sort of come in and fill them boots, like, or to step up to the plate, like, you know, like, because there's always guys pushing and jumping at the bit there to get in there, like, you know. So like, although we'd love to have them guys, they've obviously gone on now and they've pushed on with the 15s, and they're playing class. Like, you can see them there, like, even at the moment, like, it's such a joy to watch, like, to know that them guys like excelled in the sevens game, and now they're excelling in the 15s game. So it is a joy to watch, like.
Yeah, definitely. And they're all flying it as well, like, and it seems to be that it really accelerates their development going into the sevens program in terms of like, I know they're all fantastic players, but they wouldn't have been being spoken about as this guy is going to be the next biggest thing. Then they go into the sevens. They just come out of the sevens program absolutely on fire. Like Hugo Keenan, I know he didn't exactly come out of nowhere, but like it seemed that he just went from academy at Leinster to starting fullback for Ireland in less than 12 months. Like,
I know, yeah, he's flying it. Like he's just so clinical, like in everything he does. Like, it's great to see. And then he's got that attacking flair as well. Like, and he was quality for us as well. Like he never missed a tackle. Like his game was always A1. Like, he's great. Like, and there's no surprise that he's there, like, at all. Like, everyone knew. Like, he was definitely within a shout of a Lions selection as well. Like, there.
Yeah. Do you notice a big difference between those type of lads that have gone on to play like top level, top tier one international rugby when they come into the squad, or is there like anything that stands out about them?
Yeah, like as in they just do the simple things really well. Like as in they're very good at like their one-on-one tackles. Like their footwork is like phenomenal. Like like they are world class. Like, but then like you look at the likes of like Terry and Jordo as well. Like as in they do all that and more as well. Like they're proper class as well. Like so they're just, I suppose they're sort of earmarked when they come in, as in like these guys are definitely going to push into the 15s, but they need to upskill a little bit, and they definitely upskill when they come into the sevens. So when they come out, then they're in that better position that we've spoken about. Like,
Yeah, just talking about it there and the standard of the lads that were in the squad back in the early days. Like, not that there's not a fantastic standard now, but the standard that you were playing against with poor Ukraine and all these teams in Sweden and Finland, and Jesus, the scores must have been just ridiculous cricket scores. Like,
lads are absolutely hammering them. Like, yeah, like I think they had a couple of teams like 80-0 and stuff. Like, as in like just kick off, catch, score, kick off, catch, score. Like, it was unbelievable. Like,
yeah, but like I know we might be having a bit of a laugh here, but we're not exactly slagging them, because imagine you turned up to a sevens tournament like, all right, boys, this will be a bit of crack or whatever, and then you're playing against a fella that's maybe potentially a future Lion on the opposite side.
Exactly, yeah, it's tough going, like like especially in them lower leagues. But like obviously when you get up along, then it obviously gets a lot harder. Like, and you're playing against proper quality then, like
Yeah. So talk to me about going over to play against the proper quality again now in the Olympics, in terms of the structure of the tournament, because it's played over 2 days, but they're separated by a day, is it?
It's
And
played over.
there's 3 groups.
There's 3 groups, yeah. It's played over the 3 days, like and then we have, yeah. So we'll have our 3 group games, and then determining on how we do in that, then hopefully we'll make ourselves into a quarter final and sort of go from there. So it's the top two, whoever finishes the top two in each group will go through, and then the 2 best third places will then also go into the quarterfinals.
That's good as well, though, that there could be potentially 3 coming out of each group. Points difference is obviously going to be a massive factor, but in other sevens tournaments, like, if you don't perform in those first few group games on day one, like, sorry, you're in the bowl or you're in the plate or whatever, you're not competing in the cup. So it's real cutthroat. And then over the course of 3 days rather than 2, it's going to be different, I would say, in terms of you'll have a little bit more time for recovery or in between days.
Yeah, sometimes I personally prefer like a 2-day tournament and just having the 3 games, like, because it's just like you're in the zone. Like, whereas when you sort of split it up into the 3 days, you've another night's sleep, and like your body, like when you wake up after a night's sleep, you're fairly stiff and you have to get yourself going again. But look, we've played both, like we played both the 3 days and the 2 days, so like we're happy doing either or. Like, so we'll just give it a good crack now anyway when we get out there.
Yeah, please God, you get on it now. 100, like, it's really kind of, as you said, exploded in the last while, because nobody was kind of giving you a look in, it seemed, for a while. Like, there was bits and pieces here or there of the media and being a little bit interested in it. But then all of a sudden, you can't get Greg and Jordan off the TV now. They're everywhere.
The whole time, so they are. Yeah, exactly. Jordan getting his Adidas deals and
yeah,
everything.
I saw that.
Gas, all right, so it is. Yeah.
Stop. He knew what he wanted and he went straight for it. Like,
He
in the
sure
post
did.
match.
No messing around with him anyway.
No.
He'd be straight in there.
Oh yeah, straight in, no kissing. Terry was standing there beside him trying to give a serious interview. Here's Jordan. Jordan thinks he's in the NBA here.
Yes, oh, such a funny character.
It's funny though. It's great to get an actual proper look at the difference in characters amongst the squad, like, and you obviously have a real good team culture and you get on really well, but like there are lads that are polar opposites in there.
Oh, there surely is. Like, but that's what makes the dynamic so good. Like, you know, like, oh, everyone gets on so well. Like, just such a good bond between the boys. Like, to be fair, like we've gone through so much together. Like at this stage, like, you know, like we've traveled like so far and like worked so hard to get to this point. Like, you know, everyone's working so hard together. Like, it just makes such a difference. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Put into words, like.
Yeah, you just have a connection. We're not going to go real sappy, but it is a connection.
Yeah. I know
big
it is,
lads connection, like, and I'm sure, like, I'm not the only one that if you could get a GoPro at that session in the team hotel afterwards, maybe not that one, maybe the barbecue would have been better viewing, but like, I know that like you can't stop the boys putting up stories. Usually there was no phones allowed for them.
No, not a phone in the place, like, you know, 100%, like. That's all of it, just all of it, the boys at that stage then, like, you know.
Exactly. But then we were talking about the few lads that you've played with that have gone on to get international caps in a squad. But I was looking at the under-20s World Cup that you played in, and four of the lads off the squad are now away with the Lions.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's class. Like that 20 team was special as well. Like it's a very good team. We actually bet South Africa in South Africa. They actually went on and won the World Cup after. Like, yeah, like you had Tyg Furlong, Ian Henderson, Tyg Byrne, and Jack Conan are all on the Lions squad now. Like, you know, so it's great to see. Like they're great guys as well, and they were like, you could tell they were class. And like, well, I remember playing with them, like even in like with both the 20s and with club and stuff like that, and they were just quality players, like game changers. Like, in all fairness, like, you know, just done their roles really well and done more and above, like, and it's just great to see them guys going on now and like representing Ireland for the Lions, and hopefully now to go down to Africa and get a job done down there, like.
Yeah, because you played with Tyg with Lansdowne, was it? And
yeah, Tyg Byrne with Lansdowne. Yeah, you're right enough. Yeah,
and then
I would have come all the way up like all Leinster underage and Leinster sub academy and stuff with both Tyg Byrne and Jack Conan, and then sure Tyg Furlong is another Wexford man as well. Like, I'm Wexford, so like I would have known Tyg like from playing underage stuff like against them, and then obviously in like the Ireland underage stuff. And then Ian Henderson played with us at the Irish under-20s and stuff, and he was just quality, like, so he was such a beast at underage stuff, like.
Sure, he was probably twice the size of everybody else at the 20s tournament, like.
Huge, like he was class, to be fair, like he was such a mammoth of a man, like.
Yeah, well, it's good to see them. There was a few that South African side that you played against and you beat that are on the South African side now as well, that the Lions are going to be playing against, isn't there?
Yeah, there's Pierce, Steph Dutoit, there was Kitchkoff, Yankees. There's a few different Serfontaine. There's a few different guys that were playing, like that were quality. Like, they ended up winning the World Cup after.
Pollard was on it, actually, wasn't he?
Pollard was on it as well. Yeah, he was too, actually. We'd beaten them, and then England actually bet us. And then South Africa managed to get through our group. It was straight to a semi-final. So us and England lost out, like they bet England, so it was like a sort of three-way tie for the top, and South Africa just managed to get through, and then they won, like, so.
And then you bet England again, then
we bet England again to get 5th place, like, so it was anything could have happened, but like it's sort of class to see them guys going on now and like playing like in the Lions and stuff. Like, it's just unbelievable.
I was just going to say that's a long time ago now, so it is done. World Cup, and you're 19, young lad.
2012 now, so yeah, and 28.
10 years nearly.
It nearly is. Yeah.
So what do you make of their Lions' chances against South Africa? What do you think?
I think they can do it, like 100%. Like, obviously South Africa are world champs, like, and their quality. But like, you've got to look at that team going over, that Lions team going over with the quality that they have in it. Like, it's like I can't see them being beaten. Like, you know, I'd like to think they do it. They probably do. I'd say it could go down to 2-1, like maybe to the Lions. I'd reckon, like, but you never know what had happened, like really over there.
Sure, nobody's seen South Africa play since the World Cup, like, so
Yeah,
you can't really tell what's going to happen. And then this COVID outbreak, like, I know they're meant to play Georgia this weekend. You said that Speckman's in for that. Like, is that going to go ahead? I don't even
that's
know.
the thing. Yeah, you don't know. Like that's the thing. Like with the whole COVID thing, it's
But
a bit of a
but
bummer.
with the Lions as well, it's one of the first times that the starting 15 is just up for grabs. Like, it's up in the air. Like, Tyke Furlong will be there, I would say. But like anybody else,
Anyone could put
Murray's going to probably start now because he's captain. But like anybody could go in, couldn't they? Like,
yeah, no, easily anyone could fill them, like fill any of the positions there. Like there's such quality as well across the whole squad. Like so, it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out now.
and all the Irish lads went well at the weekend as well, which was
Yeah,
good to watch. Like, and then you have the dimension as well about Tyke Byrne. Is he going to continue playing six, or are they going to stick him in second row, or like
yeah,
just to get more poachers, because it seems like he wants people to poach ball. Like,
yeah.
but yeah, it's going to be interesting viewing for sure. And there's a few of your Lansdowne former teammates as well after getting drafted into the Irish setup as well to make their debuts this weekend. So
Yeah.
like, it's all happening thick and fast, isn't it?
It is. It's all coming in very fast. Like it's good to see the Lansdowne lads getting good representation there, like and coming through. Like so, no, it's good quality in Irish rugby at the moment. So
Yeah.
hopefully it just keep going anyway.
Well, hopefully you will be able to get
Japan.
go on.
I said hopefully they can get the win against Japan at the weekend as well. Like so,
Yeah.
that'll be a big one.
And hopefully you will be able to get an Olympic tattoo so you can show that off them, because there's none of them that'll have that.
No, 100%. Yeah, may line up a bit of patch of an area now to get done anyway. So I may.
What area are you thinking?
What?
Area are you thinking?
I'm going for the ribs in here, baby.
Okay. Yeah. I had a feeling you were going to go for something else.
Yeah. Where are you thinking?
I'm not going to say. Right, we'll move on to the quick fire question.
Cool.
And the first one is proudest achievement today.
Probably the first cap in London, winning the bronze medal against England in the semi-final.
Yeah, shook up the world on that one, and it was such a crazy finish to the game as well. Roshi nailing the conversion, and then
unbelievable.
Talking about Harry and the line out not going to plan, and you still coming away and scoring the try. Like, it's just
class.
Yeah, class. And everybody, that really put Sevens kind of on the map for Ireland first. Like, that kind of put into the minds of everyone. Yeah. So we don't know if you're definitely going to be there yet, but Olympic sport that you're most excited to either watch or experience, if allowed, if you're over there, or it might be at home on TV. Yeah. I wouldn't say so, but we'll leave it a little bit out there.
The trial and tested the 100-meter sprint, like the one that everyone wants to watch, like, you know, like it's it would be unreal to experience that in real life, like, wouldn't it? Like, it'd be class.
Yeah, what is the story with Japan, like, and restrictions, and do you know, like, have you even spoken about it, or is it kind of taboo? Like, when you go over, is it just bubbles?
I think we'll be having meetings like closer to the time around what's going to go on around out there. I'm not sure whether we're allowed to even go to the events yet, you know. So hopefully, like, fingers crossed, we get going to them. Like,
you'd hope that all the athletes would be in like a COVID bubble, say, like, or COVID free bubble, and you'd want to have somebody at the event, surely. Like, even if it's only athletes that can go, like, you can even notice, like, looking at the Euros in England, and they don't have full stadiums, but just having somebody at the stadium makes a difference in terms of the atmosphere. Like,
oh, big time. Yeah, it'll make a huge difference. Like, you need the sport there. I think, like, you know, you need a bit of crowd there to make it more enjoyable and more of an experience anyway. A
silent sevens tournament would be so weird as well, wouldn't it?
It would be bizarre, like, so it would. Even though, like, at the weekend or in Monaco, like, there was a lot of French support there. It was still nice to have someone shouting there anyway, like, you know.
Yeah, even if they were booing you.
Yeah, exactly.
I could not believe Harry didn't dive.
I know, yeah. Well, he sort of did, but not as much like he did over in Hong Kong that time. Yeah. It's probably because all the lads have been in his ear the whole time about Hong Kong that time.
That's what he was thinking about before he scored.
It was like, surely he can't dive again, like.
Oh, I couldn't believe it. I was like, he's
And
gonna dive.
that was the time to dive as well, because it was
Yeah,
at the end, like, do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, whereas the one in Hong Kong was at the start, so he's getting it all mixed up. So he is.
yeah. His face afterwards was brilliant. He's putting the memes
Oh,
up now. It's just gas, like so
so
funny.
funny. People like, oh, make a T-shirt of his face and all, like.
And you were up on Jack Kelly, weren't you, when they've had matches?
Yeah, jumping all over him, like.
Yeah. Ah, brilliant. Right. Who's going to play you in the movie?
Tom Hardy.
That's a fucking shout, you know. That is
Yeah.
a shout. Tom
I
Hardy
a lot of
from
people always
Warrior.
say, "Oh, you look like Tom Hardy" or whatever. Like, but I don't know. I don't see it at all.
Good, staying humble again. Who's your favourite rugby player of all time?
Brian O'Driscoll.
Yeah, fair
Ever
enough.
since I was a young lad, like always Brian O'Driscoll. Like,
I
yeah.
thought you'd go for Gordon Darcy, the Wexford connection.
I don't know. I just always like since I was a tot, like it's always been O'Driscoll. Like, so I was
Yeah,
yeah.
fair enough. Dricko's the man. You can't really argue, like, realistically. An interesting one, actually, because Harry has a big kind of love for sevens and talking to him. Do you have a favourite sevens player of all time? Because his favourite player was PO2, I think.
I used to love William Ryder, the
Oh, yeah.
Fiji boy. Like I used to love him when I was younger watching it. Like, but I wouldn't have too many, like, you know, other than him now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought he was quite.
Yeah, he was rapid as well. Fiji always seem to have just one lad that's not as big as the rest of them, but is just electric, like.
Yeah, rapid and serious footwork, like.
Yeah. So you're just like, Jordan, you just stay opposite him there, and
Yeah, exactly.
and you can chase him down if he breaks the line.
100%.
Right. What artists have you been listening to a lot recently?
I tell you, I was listening to Luke Combs recently, like a lot of country sort of stuff, and just I don't know, it's one of the lads got me into it, and then, funnily enough, like Ian Fitzpatrick, I was rooming with him over in Monaco, and he wouldn't stop listening to Olivia Rodrigo, and I was like, oh, will you turn that crap off? And now I have a guilty pleasure of like listening to that now as well, like, so it's gas, like.
She's good in fairness. And I was gonna say, in terms of the affinity for the country music, like pure Wexford. So the next one is, what meal or food are you loving at the moment? And I was gonna say, is it just potatoes and strawberries?
I was gonna say what I got, the mother's dinner, the venison with roast venison with potatoes and veg, man. Sure, you couldn't get any more country than that, could you?
No, not really. And you're hunting for the venison as well, aren't you?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, yeah, all
Did you?
hungry.
Is that what you treated the boys to when they went down, Greg and Harry?
No, I actually the shooting season isn't in at the moment. So I brought the lads out to the Saltese Island and brought them out to visit the Puffins. And Harry got loads of snapshots of them, like, and stuff.
Oh yeah, but what I was saying was, did you give them a bit of the prime cut of venison when they came in for the dinner?
I did, yeah. I gave them some venison, all right, to take home with them. Good lucky bag with them, so they did. So they said
They're
that
happy out with that.
Yeah, they love it.
Right. Are you reading any books lately, or do you have time?
I'm not a big reader, but I tell you, I'm just reading a lot of physio books and stuff at the moment.
Yeah,
like, so boring enough. Like, yeah, a lot of
anatomy.
Yeah, Mackenzie's and stuff like that. So like, it's grand.
When do you finish your masters?
I'm finished it, so I
finished
it last year. Yeah, so I'm done
just
now. I was doing a little bit of part-time work, so I was with Niall Barry in dynamic physiotherapy there. So if anyone wants to call in around the Docklands, there you go, get it in there.
Where is it around the Docklands?
What's that? It's at the back of the Marker Hotel there. It's just dynamic physiotherapy is what it's called.
I'll put Foster's phone number underneath the post so you can ring. No, I won't even.
Get it out there.
Yeah. So the last question then is the big one. What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
What would I tell my 18-year-old self? I tell him to believe in himself, to never give up.
Okay, good message there for everyone. Foz, cheers for coming on. That was great. Hour flew by.
No, it's great to be in, man. Now no time, like, you know. So it's great to catch up with you, man, especially after all the DCU days.
Yeah, exactly. We'll leave them unnamed, or we won't talk about them in the podcast.
I have a few stories if anyone wants to find out about Petey performance.
Thanks for coming to the V Performance podcast, everyone. We'll see you next time.